Hello, Ramya. Good evening. Okay, for some reason I couldn't hear you, but we'll begin our class in exactly in 5 minutes. Just waiting for others to join. Okay, we'll begin the session. Hope my voice is loud and clear and could able to see my screen. If not, please let me know. Just a moment. I'll just reshare again because I'm sharing only the PPT. Okay, so now I'll go to So good evening, good morning. So here we are on our day 2, and we covered multiple topics on the overviews and introductions about what is Salesforce and what is Tosca and what is the advantage of using Tosca and what is the benefits of getting into the Salesforce. So we discussed a lot of things, and we seen the how the architecture, so how the Tosca looks like, how the Salesforce looks like, so how to create a record in yesterday we created a contact basically in the Salesforce, and how to automate the login flows, how to create a particular same scenario using automation of content creation in Salesforce by using Tosca. So we covered all those things. So today, let's get deep dive into the data session where I'm going to teach you about Tosca a lot. And other than the Salesforce, I'll introduce you to the web-based application also. So it will be easy for you to know where we are going to heading towards overall throughout this course. Okay, so welcome back again. If by chance you couldn't able to hear my audio or else couldn't able to see my screen, means feel free to unmute yourself and raise your answer. Okay, so here we are on day 2. We'll start with the Tosca XScan. So Tosca XScan, we yesterday went and discussed Tosca XScan is a property, one of the component which is going to help us to identify modules in Tosca, right? So there are 4 different components which we discussed. One is commander and xscan, executor, and repository. So commander, which we seen yesterday, which will be having multiple folder kind of structure. So let me open the Tosca and we call it. Yeah. See, this is the project overview. And here's the Tosca commander. This is how we'll be having a projects, and we'll be having different sections. So this is what we seen yesterday. And today, let's jump into the Tosca XScan. Okay, so Tosca XScan is nothing but where we are going to scan our test application using Tosca XScan and identify all those things. I mean, all those buttons, elements from the UI by using the 4 different ways. Okay, so this is the one of the majorly asked questions in interviews and the basic part of understanding Tosca, how it is going to work in identifying elements. So Tosca controls can be identified in 4 different ways. One is identified by properties, identified by anchors, identified by index, and identified as an image. Okay, so I'll repeat. So Tosca XScan is the particular feature which will use to collect the web element from the target application and store in the form of modules, and that is possible in the way of where we'll identify the controls using properties, anchor, image, index, and image. Okay, so today we are going to see how this XScan is going to work. So I'll explain all these properties, anchor, index, and image and all. Let's go one by one. So let's switch into the Tosca. So where we will use this XScan, as we discussed on our previous classes, right? So XScan is the thing which we will use to collect the properties from the site, the web application, the target application, or is the desktop application, whatever it is. So that is possible in this modules section, not in test case, not in execution, not in scratchbook. So that is possible on modules, right? So to do that, what we need to do is we need to right click and scan. So this scan, this particular feature will trigger the XScan, right? So let's see what we are going to scan today. So I have another application. Yeah. So until yesterday, we are seeing the Salesforce, right? Where we see multiple tabs and benefits of this. And I'll introduce you with them. Another web-based application. It is not the Salesforce or SAP. It is an generic web application where we will automate a particular flow. Like this is an demo web shop site, which is provided by the Tricentis itself to teach and learn Tosca. Right? It is not any generic site which will be having happy paths where I can go and automate a simple way. This will be having lots and lots of challenges to automate because this been designed by Tricentis to teach Tosca. Right? So this will be the right website to do. And we'll be using this particular site to log in and add something in our from our particular available. For example, let's take this desktop and let's add this particular thing, and we'll be seeing options to choose, and we'll put it into cart, and we'll go to a shopping cart, and we'll select our country, zip codes. So this is how your our real-time applications also will be like. So this is actually the shopping cart shipping process, right? So where will we purchase and we'll proceed for shipping. So let's do one thing. Yeah. So it will like 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And agree. If I give checkout, oh, it's asking for the login. Just a moment. I have the so now we can check out and we can continue our building address, and it will go to the checkout region. So this is the normal flow where, however, order is going to be placed. So we'll be automating this entire process. See, the order has been placed successfully, and this is the order details. By clicking this, we'll be seeing this particular details also, what has been ordered and what is our product and what is the price and quantity. We'll be verifying all these things and including the PDF, right? So we'll be looking into this PDF and what has been downloaded. And this particular PDF also will be automating using Tosca. So this entire workflow, we'll be doing it in this particular application, which is well good enough. Okay. So let's start with this application to learn more on modules. So this is the right application to go. So what I will do is I will start with the login screen from the beginning again, and I will teach you what is the difference between automating the Salesforce and also automating this particular application also. Okay. So yeah. So here in this, we have the module section.
I
right?
know, but actually, I have a question. I thought
Uh-huh.
we want to use Salesforce application as the for this course. Why are we using the demo workshop? Why I
See,
thought we were going to
both,
do
no,
Salesforce.
no. Yeah. Both are covered. Both are covered. See, Salesforce will be covered for first initial 2 weeks completely, right?
Okay.
So we'll be automating Salesforce, and we'll be completing our workflows where we'll be creating contacts. And let me go to Salesforce.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll be creating the contacts and opportunities leads. This also will be automating, but this has their own kind of automation methodology, right? But at the same time, when we try to automate the generic application, we can able to understand Tosca more. So we'll be automating both the applications. Okay? Not only the Salesforce, not only the web UI. So both will be automating. So first initial 2 weeks will be completely on Salesforce, and the next following weeks will be on web-based web page. This particular DevOps shop. Okay, so on the go, you'll understand what is the benefits of understanding this website also. Right. So now let me switch into the Tosca, and let's start with the today's module on XCAN, because this module section is the one. Why I'm starting with this modules? It can be anything, right? I could have taken very easiest thing to start with the Tosca automation. Why I'm preferring this particular module section? this is going to be your heart of your test case, right? Why I'm saying that particular means if I want to scan this particular email and password, right? When we scan this, we need to take the right properties, right? As I was showing in the PPT. So identify your properties, identify by anchor, index, or image, where to use all these things, or how to use, what is the best design, what is the best approach, and what is the Tosca standard, right? So to know all these things, let's jump into the XCAM and try to automate few things. Okay, so before getting into scan and all, I want to make one more point clear also. So here, if you see standard modules, which came as part of Tosca installation, and SFDC, which was Salesforce, which we pulled via Salesforce credentials, and demo, which we went and created, and contact, which we went and created. But if you see, today I'm going to scan one more. What I can do, I can create a folder and I can name like demo app shop. Right? And inside that, I can go and create one more folder stating like login. So what I'm about to say is, what about these two particular folders? We had a requirement to create, we created it, but it is not supposed to be left like that. When you're working in a project, this is not how we should work. We should be having a proper folder structure and proper naming convention. That is most important. Because if someone comes and look into your code base should be neat and clear enough for them to understand. Right? So let me move this to archive. So how to move? So here in Tosca, just a cut, copy, paste. Or else it's good practices, drag and drop. See, it went into archive easily. And if you want to move around your folder structure, means we can do, not a problem. Right? So this will be our, I'll keep it at the top so it won't disturb anywhere. So standard modules we'll use, we'll talk about these ones, and SFDC we'll be using for automating the Salesforce, and this particular demo app shop where we'll be automating the demo app shop. Right. Okay, so this particular, I'm again reiterating the folder structure and the namings are most important. And if you see the modules which been downloaded by the Tosca, right, during XScan, if you see how neat and clear it is having navigation, Salesforce, and it's rapid navigation, and it's a module attribute. Right, this is the actual properties where the buttons and all will be there. So here, if you see app launcher, how the namings has been given, even though it's been pulled by Tosca automatically, see it has been named in an appropriate manner. Right, same we also need to do. We need to have a proper folder, and we need to have a proper naming, and we need to have proper properties. For example, it's been pulled by the Tosca. This is for Salesforce. I'm reiterating. It's been pulled by the Tosca, and this will have the properties. Let's look into the properties. Yeah. And if you see at the right corner, you'll be having this particular button where we can expand this and see what is the properties. So let me click this username, and here we can see what is the properties. And this has been getting identified by ID and input and visible. Okay. So these are the technical properties which Tosca has been using to identify this particular button username in Salesforce. As it is automatically pulled, we never able to see how it has been pulled over. Let's jump into our manual scan and learn the module scanning from the scratch. Okay. So now I'm going to scan what application, demo app shop, and another good practice is it should be only application opened in your browser. We should not be having multiple desktops, which is opened for no other reasons, or else where we'll be having multiple SharePoints, multiple Outlooks, and some other web pages. And if we open our web browser with the full list of application, try to scan this means Tosca will be slow. Okay. So the good practice is make sure that you are closing all other web browsers. Sorry, all other browsers also, and all other unwanted tabs, and keep only a target application. Okay. So now our intention is we need to scan this login button and scan email, password, and this particular login button also. And if you see, 2 login buttons are there. So we'll be end up on issues. Let's go one by one. So here we created a folder and another folder. Inside this, right click and scan. This pop-up will come. Here you need to choose application. You may be feeling like this we discussed a lot of times and why we are reiterating. Yes, it is required. So we'll be having the understanding of basic concepts for sure. So here in this window, you can select application, either double click or you can click select and scan. So I'll double click, it will pull the objects whichever present in the UI in the form of elements in Tosca scan, right? So here in Tosca scan, so this is how the properties will get listed. Few will find difficult of viewing this. What is this? It's been listing so many things. What is what? There is 3 different ways to start this scan. Okay, one is basic way. If you see, no controls has been there. It is saying like click on controls in your application to add them. So it will go like this. If you minimize at any of the corner, and if you hover over your buttons in your web page, it will allow you to scan. Right? Neat and clear, right? Easy, right? I believe. If not, please let me know. So what I did is we are in this particular view. This is the Tosca will comes usually, and sometimes if you want to use into a different web page where it is interrupting your view, means it's good to go with basic. Okay, so here if you hover over your buttons, it will highlight what has been getting selected, right? Still it is not getting selected. It is allowing you to categorize or allowing you to isolate what you want to scan. Okay, so now I want to choose this login button. So let me choose this login. And next one, I want to choose email. So let me go for this. Okay, and I want to choose password, another login. But before going that, I'll go with the condensed mode. See, this is another view. Right? From here, we've seen basic. There's another view called condensed. In this view, what will happen is it will directly go as the pop-up, the side pop-up. It will not having any interruptions in your whole viewing. Right? So I will take this password also. So what's the last one I need? This particular login. It already had clicked this particular login. I want to have this login also. So to do that, I'll go to advanced. And if you see here, whatever we selected, it came into picture, but I want one more, which is this particular login, right? So let's go to that. So here, if I expand this, this is the area where we can see the filtered items. So usually Tosca will show this particular view where it will show whatever the buttons, direct buttons, and whatever has been hidden, the inside elements where we can go on, expand it and see. The HTML properties, CSS properties will come into picture, right? So now this is sufficient. So this is a login button where I need, and also we can search. All I can do is login. The name should be right, else it will be throwing error. Yeah, see, it is login. Already we have one login which I chosen, and here's another login. This is the button. Right. So let me choose this one. Okay, so all good. I have chosen the required things for me, and now we are good to proceed. Right? Still, the major part is there. What is was? So now, if you see, we chosen all the 4 buttons, whatever we need. The important thing, what we need to observe is we need to look into the properties, how it's been getting selected. See, previously and all, we can choose buttons. Then we need to come here and make this property unique in nature. Okay, if you see, when I choose this first button, login, at the bottom of the screen, you can able to see selected item is unique. What it is mean is In the UI, this button is not having any duplicate, or else Tosca is not having any challenges for it to identify and navigate at the runtime. So basically, Tosca can able to communicate with it. That is what this unique statement is all about. How it is getting unique? Tosca by itself. These are the recent updates over the last 5 versions. Tosca is having this feature where it will go and choose the properties. Hope you could able to see. I can't zoom the screen actually. I have restrictions. I mean, it's a pop-up given by the Tosca. I can't able to zoom and show. But if you're not able to see it clearly, means the one workaround is you can zoom your this particular presentation in your Teams meeting. So it will allow you to view. Okay, so now it is getting unique based on these properties. If you see, identify by properties at the top, right? Inside the identify properties, we have different sections. Identify by properties, it's split into 3 different categories. Identify by properties via representation, which means how it is going to look in the UI and how it is going to display in the UI based on the technical elements, the backend. Is it having the class name? Is it having the ID? Is it having the inner text or outer text or tag, HTML tag, which is basically. So how it is going to get identified? And the X path, the transition thing, right? So those cars, we scan the particular button and that came into the selection. We selected it and that is unique in nature. That is because of we went and chose, not we, Tosca all identify by itself. Right? So it is unique. In previous versions of Tosca, some years before, we need to go and choose this manually. So now Tosca is doing it all by itself. But still, our job is, it's already unique right now. Why you need to come here? We need to. Because imagine like this class name is there. Tosca went and choosing this class name. I selected it during this a few minutes back. But if Tosca selected this for identification purpose, and this class name is not a static one, right? It is having like icon login 01. Okay, if it is having 01 in the sense, it is going to be changed, right? See, when the moment I change it to icon 01, right, it is showing like it is not unique. The selected item was not found, right? If it is not unique in the sense, this is how Tosca will inform you, right? The moment I remove this class name selection, it went into unique. But if it is not unique in the sense, it will highlight you in this particular orange tone. If I'm a bit fast or I'm confusing means feel free to ask, because this is very important thing to step into the Tosca scan. Don't feel like it's complicated, all simple. What I'm trying to say, explain here is Tosca is doing most of the jobs, right? It's simplified for us to do automation. All we need to scan and keep only the target application, close everything and go and scan. We can select the things and list out. We need to do one thing where we need to choose the right properties. That's what I'm explaining here. Okay. And what are those right properties? How to know it? So right properties are nothing but something it is good enough for choose. How we'll know? It should be static one. It should be having proper naming. It should be the valid naming. It should be having the valid value. It should not be having any dynamic values. Like for example, this is the one. If this is having a icon only login means that's good. We can go and choose it. But by any chance, we are going with an ID. Okay. Currently it's empty, but instead of that, it is saying like ID 5432110 and some characters under its there means this is an ID. This is an alphanumeric, which make it change. Right? The properties can be anything. Okay, but it should be the static one. Okay, so how to know it's static or not? The more in practice, you'll be understanding it. But another good approach is if you're having any confusion, we can always reach out to developer and ask them. Right? but it is not required in most cases. On rare cases, we'll be going to developers and reaching out to them. But here, if you see login button, this is what, and inner text I'm going. Login is there, right? It is not going to get updated in future. If it get updated, it is going to be the change, that is fine, but it is not going to get updated frequently. Dynamic values are the value which may get updated frequently. If this login is having some other alphanumeric, and means it means it's going to get updated on the next session or immediately after refresh. So we should not choose those kind of properties. We should be choosing the right properties. Okay. So, and one more thing I want to say, as I'm going with inner text, it doesn't mean like every time you need to go with inner text. The first and foremost is ID we can go. Okay. And second thing can be inner text. And third thing can be tag. And if it is having a associated label, we can go for it. And if it's API, I mean, if it is a Salesforce, we can go, we'll be seeing one more representation field called API key. So that also we can choose. Here, if you see associated label is there, but it doesn't have any values. So there's no point on choosing this, right? So we don't want to this one, and class name is fine. ID, it's not having anything, so we should not remove this one. And inner text, it's good. I'm having this. And whenever you're choosing any values, right, in this particular area, click this particular area, click that particular value and see, is there any empty spaces? Empty space in the sense, this is empty spaces, right? So if you see here, my cursor is at the bottom. Still, I have empty spaces until here. So that may cause you issues, right? It should be having only the content, right? Even though if it is not having the only content means there's a way to handle it, but go with the properties which is having only the content which we needed, right? So another last thing to understand about properties and this identification methodologies, Tosca will use AND method. If you choose class, inner text, and tag, which means class name and inner text and tag, all three should be same property during execution. Only then Tosca will be able to identify that particular element. If any one of this is changing, for example, class name got updated in the future, okay, but inner text remains the same and tag remains the same, and still your script will get failed. Okay, so that's the reason keep minimal properties which is static enough. So for that reason, I don't want to get into class name. I'll keep only the inner text and tag. Right? This will be the login button. It will be login button. So the probability of getting updated is lesser here. Right? So this particular property, this particular button, we identified using property. Let's see the other one. So here, email is there. And see, it went using with ID and it went with the tag. Good. And if you see the difference, this tag is having A and this ID is empty for the previous button login. But if you go to the email, ID is having the value. Good. This is good enough. So I'm not going with the inner text. Inner text is empty actually, but it is having a different property called name. Right. And if I go with the tag, it is not A as like before, it is input because it's an input field. So these are good. We can go with it. As this particular field is input field, tag is input, and it's having ID, good to go. Go for it. And labels and I'm not choosing. See, it's having associated label. I'm not choosing. Associated label is nothing but the label which being presented here. See, this is the thing. Right. And whatnot. Yeah, it's only two. Identify ID and tag. And passwords, ID and tag. Nothing else. And login. Tag as input and value as login. See here, two logins are there. One is the hyperlink, one is button. What is meant by hyperlink? As you all know, this is not a button, but text is given with the functionality to go and display different page. That's why it's called hyperlink. It's a link basically, but this is a button. So Tosca will also looks like that particular thing. So if it's hyperlink, it will show like different icon. If it's a button, it's going different icon. So similarly, the values also is getting changed. So tag is input now and value is login. As you see, this all these and four properties, I'm going with different one. This is possible to teach in this particular application, not in Salesforce, because we already have most of the values, right? All we do is we'll be dragging and dropping it and completing a workflow. But this is foremost important for you to understand how Tosca will work on fetching the properties and values. Right? So we scan this one, all good. And finally, before saving, what you need to do is we need to make sure renaming it. It's a hyperlink. And this is the login button. At least for the ones where you may get into the confusions. This is the best practice, right? So once done, give a save and give a close. So we scanned the login page in our from our DevOps shop, right? And after scanning also, if you see still these two is not renamed, we can able to rename. Either we can right click and use this particular icon or to rename, or else we can give the function F2 or direct F2 based on your keyboard. Else you can directly come and click. It will allow you to edit it. Okay. So what is this particular? It will be like login, and it will be DevOps shop. I'm renaming it as per my convenience. This is how I'll be preferring. The reason is we can able to see what is what. If it is login is at the next to it means we can't able to see. We'll be having a kind of a confusion where it is what to search. So first it should be having the feature name. What feature it's going to have? It's going to have the buttons from the login page. So it should login. And this is the site name, the project name, your application name. Right. And similarly, this one also, this will be the text entry field. And I can copy this and I can paste. Right. So we are done. We scanned the required things, whatever we needed. Right. I'm not going to create another test case for this to execute and show how it is working fine and all. Let's jump into the different scan and see how to handle the how to scan via properties and all, different types of properties. Okay, I'm logging in. Yeah. So here we are. Here, let's go and try to automate few of the things. Right. Okay. So let's try to automate this particular page where I will mouse over here. We need this particular what to say, the menu button, the menu bar, the ribbon. We can say it that way. And inside that, we need to have this desktop also. So let's try to scan this and see how it is going to behave. And if you see, this particular control is getting activated based on the mouse over. If I mouse over it, it is getting into action based on that particular mouse has been targeted. It's moving to target. The event is getting fired and it is getting displayed statically. If I move the mouse away from that region, means it will get disappear. So how to handle these kind of things in Tosca? So thing is, if I want to scan this means we have a feature called, we can go with, okay. Here in this version of Tosca tool, it is not allowing us to do. Usually what will happen is we'll be having a particular button to freeze this. We'll be having an option to freeze this. So what will happen is this particular button, this particular web page element will be freezed. Right? So maybe I will check with the update of this extension. All these extensions and all, you don't worry. I'll teach you on the next class how to install Tosca, how to get the license for Tosca and for Salesforce, and also for these extensions. Okay. So now let's see we can scan this one and we can scan this add to cart and all. The intention is we'll be learning XScan to complete in different types of identification method. Okay, so go with the scan. Okay, I made a mistake. I'm going and scanning in the login itself. So what will happen is the modules will come inside the login. I don't want to do that. So let me cancel that. We'll create a new folder, which is going to say like menu bar. You can say that. Yeah. So this will be the menu bar where I will scan these particular method. To do that, again, right scan, right click, go to scan, application. Okay, double click. Yeah. So this is ready. Here, if you see book, we can highlight and see. Yeah, book is there, computer is there, electronics is there, apparels, downloads, jewelry, and gift cards. So we taken whatever we need. Again, book is coming, if you see, but this book is nothing but here in this section. So if I go and choose, it will be duplicate. Yeah, it's duplicate, right? So still here itself, if you see, we have scanned the whatever we needed. Book is unique, but computer is not unique. But other than that, all the things are unique, right? So let's see how to make this particular computer as a unique one. Right. So first, let's go into the properties and see why it is not unique, first of all. Right. So the first preferred method of identification is properties. Only then we should be going with a different approach. What are the different approach? How it's going to be? Here, if you see, next to the select on screen, we have option called identify by. By default, it will be properties. We can go with anchor, image, index. Right. So by default, it will be properties. This is how the Tosca will show. But for this particular thing, it is saying like inner text we went and choose and outer text not be Tosca by predefined selector. But still, it is not sufficient for Tosca to identify a unique element. Right. So the other best option is we can go with, we need to see, is there any other properties which will make this button to be unique? Is as a label is there? No. It is empty. Is anything else will be unique? No. Class name is also empty. Label is empty. ID empty. Inner text is same. HTML we should not see. This is the empty space which I'm talking about. Right. So here and this and all will cause you verification failures, which we'll see in future classes. Right. So here all we have is inner text and tag, but all other properties are having same values. Right. So it's not good enough. Only identifiable properties will not be sufficient. So at that time, we need to go with the different identification approaches. Okay. Let's go with the simplest one, index. Right. So if you click that, what is happening is, if you see, properties went behind and index came into picture now. Always properties will be there. It is not like if you go and choose index, we are not depending upon the properties. Properties are the major one. It will be there. But as it is not sufficient, we are getting help of the different identification method. So it will be the secondary one to help properties to get identified. Right. So if I click index, see the new page came and it is saying like index 1 of 2, which means the UI, if you see, we have computer here, we have computer here. That is the issue. Duplicates are there. So Tosca is saying like, I can't make it, I can't find it unique in nature. Guide me. Some that's what it's saying. So by using index, what it will do is, say if I click this index 1 of 2, which means 2 elements are there on the UI. If I click this index, it is stating like, okay, every time I'll go and choose the first element, which is this. That's what we needed, right? So identify by index, this is how it works. But I don't want to use this, but maybe for example, let's go with an anchor. Okay. So what will happen is here we need to give support of something else. We need to give the either nearby property or parent property. Right? If you see to add anchor, drag and drop controls from the list to the anchor control panel. Alternately, click on screen. Right? So here, what I'm saying is this is not unique because we start duplicate. We need to give a reference of other objects from the UI to make it unique. What will happen is it will take properties of this element and use this element properties as a supporting to get verified. So what Tosca will do, it will get confused. What to pick, what to say, this computers I need to choose or this computer I need to choose. Tosca is getting confused. So when you give a reference, which is having this, so what will happen is, okay, this guy is saying like computers can, whichever the computers next to this books, I'll be unique. So it will go to this particular computer as we are giving this reference. If I give electronics reference, it will go, it will take. Right. So let's see the anchor. So what I'm going to do is this particular book, whatever I already chosen, that is unique in nature, right? So if you see, yeah, this book is highlighted and this is already unique. Right. See, this is already unique. The main, okay, and the main prerequisite of going for anchor is what are the parent property which you're going to use as a reference, that should be unique. Okay. For example, if I'm going to the books, if I'm going to the books and this book is not unique in nature, okay. Yeah, this book is not going to be unique. Can I use this as a reference for identifying this element? No, we can't. We should not. First of all, this itself is not unique. How we can use this as a reference for another element? We should not. So whatever the properties which you are going to use as a reference, as an anchor, that should be also unique in nature by default. Okay. So now computers, we seen method index we seen, which will take a index reference, kind of a serial number. We can put it in simple terms, right? So by using that, we can able to by giving this checkbox.
Hey, I know. Please tell you, I have one question. Sorry. So if you go back to the app, the application, so you select computers, right? So
Yeah.
when you scan, what you are saying that you scan the computer first, right? I mean that's what you scan. So you now use the index or anchor to identify if you can go over the computers again. So you can use it to go into those. Can you go back? Can you put your console? No, no, go back to the computers and yeah. So you use index to go to desktop, notebooks, and accessory. That's what you are saying, correct? Let's
No,
say,
no,
for
no.
example, go ahead.
Yeah. I got your question. Yeah. So see, what we are trying to do is we are trying to scan this menu bar,
Right.
right? All the things are unique, but this computer alone, it's not unique because this web page is developed in certain way. This will have conflict here. It is having duplicate. This computer is sharing the same properties of this computer. Here you could
Okay.
able to see it. So because of that, it is having duplicate. So we are trying
Okay.
to make it unique by using different kind of identification properties. So first is we went to the index. So it's nothing but a serial number. And now we are going to anchor. Okay.
Okay.
See, now this error came. Right. So connection to the application lost. Maybe the application was closed, the first reading scan. Yes, we did. So what has happened is uh, when I'm explaining the things to you, I went and rescanned this. I mean, it got refreshed. So what has
Okay.
happened is all over the progress, whichever we did, right, it went into the wing. So we need to rescan all these things again. So another best practice is when you are in scan, you should not come and navigate to different page, or else you should not reload this page, the target application, right?
Right.
So let's go with the scan again. I will go from the beginning. Others also feel free to raise questions. Anyway, we'll be having questionnaire sessions at the end. But if you want, if I'm not clear enough or confusing means, let me know. Okay. So now we have computers. Okay. So, but I don't want this to be unique. Yeah, I'm moving this. So now it is not unique. I can go with index we've seen. Let's try with an anchor. Okay. So how the anchor works, as I say, we are going to give reference of different elements. So that different element can be anything, right? But it should be the nearby one, right? It should be the parent property. Like if I want to find this computer, just take the reference of nearby elements, right? We don't want to take something from the bottom, which is not at all having a relationship with this particular button at all. So now I'm going with the nearby property, which is book. And as I was saying, that particular property also should be having unique in nature. So for computer, we have only a tag. I'm not going with the inner text. And in anchor, I'm dragging and dropping this book as my reference property. See, the moment I drag and drop, target control successfully identified, and this became unique now. This is how identification methods work in Tosca. Right? We've seen about properties, and we've seen about index, and we've seen about anchor. So once done, we can save and we can close. And another way is what we can do is identify by image. As it's already done, it is not showing. Image in the sense, what will happen is a snipping tool will come. We can take a particular area as a reference. That image, as it is saying, like how it is saying, it is saying like identify by image. By taking a snap of the particular UI element, that will be stored as a form of image. By using that image, our controls will be identified at the runtime. But that is not advisable. Why it is means, if your computer resolution got changed from 1920 to 1360 or 720 means, the image resolution will be changed. It will be enlarged, it will be minimized, it will be moved to a different XY axis, or else let's take one more. We'll go and zoom this means, what will happen? It's not going to identify that image in that particular way, because when you scanned it, it could have been a simple, the smaller text, right? But if I zoom this, it is going to be the larger text. So Tosca will get confused. So go for the image scan only when necessary, only if there is no any other way at all. But in my experience, I never used it because it's so not it's so volatile for of failures, right? We'll be using images for the logo validation. Like you will be having client logo, right? So there may be a requirement where we need to validate the logos of our client application in that particular workspace. So there and all we can use, right? So now we went and scanned menu bar in a 3 different ways. Fourth also we covered. So this is how the Xscan window works. So let's save and close it, and let's see what's been here. See, it is there, and let's rename it menu bar, and I want to say like menu bar demo shop, and I want to have the same naming. Yeah, demo shop. So we went and scanned 2 different things, and we discussed about how Xscan is working. Now let's go and see one more finally before we close this Xscan session. Whatever we scanned in that particular Xscan window, right, that can be found here. See, we went and chose inner text or identify the books. Here we can see what is the properties it been used to identify. For computers, what we used relative ID, which means anchor we used, right? That's what is coming here. It is having a HTML thing, but it is here we can able to see in the text of book by using this as a key and the reference, we are able to find this. Okay, so and it's having only tag. Similarly for electronics, only the inner text we choose and apparel. And here we could able to see. I want to show one more difference also. What is the standalone things between the two different scan, Xscan and the Salesforce scan? If you see all these particular thing is scanned via HTML engine. But if I go to the Salesforce, it is scanned via Salesforce framework. Okay, but both the engine same, but framework will be different. It's Salesforce Lightning, right? And it will be having the Salesforce scanner ID, right? And here, if you see, it will be having visible ID. This will be getting selected by default. It will take the ID. If it is there, ID is there, it will take. If ID is not there, it will try to take a different element. See, it taken the API key. See, API key, it is having the dynamic property. Can someone please unmute yourself and say it work? If it will not work means what will be the reason? Can someone please feel free? Let it be a conversational session. Else your 30 days will be like I will be the guy who will be speaking a lot and you will be bored. Okay. So why it is not a good approach means see, even though Salesforce went and pulled this, as ID is not there, it used API key, but it is having the dynamic value. See, it's alphanumeric. Next time, either this B will be getting converted into C, sorry, yeah, or D, or this 87 will be incremented to 88. So this is not going to work out. So this is the type of values which we need to avoid. Right? And as you see, it's taking only the minimal thing. When we are scanning, we see multiple values, right? Name was there, inner text was there, outer text was there, visible was there, XPath was there, associate label was there. But see how neat and neatly taken. It taken only API key and only visible. And if I go to the logout, it could have taken, yeah, only the label and visible. That's it. This is because scan will use AND method. Okay, Tosca will use AND method. These both should be same to same during execution. If either one of that got changed, for example, instead of this space, this has been cut out means it's going to be the failure, right? We can't say like this property is there, should have been work. No, both should be there. That's why good to have only the minimal things, right? So this is the difference between Salesforce scan and the Xscan, and this is the method which we need to follow for identifying the different elements from the UI. Okay. I hope it is neat and clear. So what we covered is the Xscan. We covered about properties, anchor, index, and image. So properties are nothing but the technical parameters. Index is nothing but the serial numbers we can say. And anchors will be using relative algorithm, shortest path, coordinate paths. These are all technical, I mean the theoretical things which I'll share the PDF at a later point you can refer. But in simpler terms, properties are technical details which will store. Anchors are the reference which will take from the nearby property. Index is nothing but the serial number. Index or index to be in cut short right. If not, we can select serial numbers, the first element, second element. Image, by taking the reference of that particular image which we are scanning at the runtime, by using that image, it will go on verify. I mean, it will go on navigate. So this is the Tosca Xscan, the most major thing to understand in Tosca, because if this is good, if you go and scan your application in a right proper way within the right properties, the failure probability will be lesser. So this is the heart of your test case design itself. Okay, so that's how we covered this demo on understanding the Tosca modules. If you have any questions, feel free to raise. If not, feel free to drop off. So tomorrow we'll be covering architecture. Sorry, not the architecture. We'll be covering the installation and we'll be covering the Tosca setup and we'll be covering the Tosca licensing part and Salesforce licensing part. So by Friday class, I'll be giving you the activity, what you need to be automating over this weekend. And during the weekend, you can give a try on automating it. If any support needed, I'll be sharing you the Google form link where you can go and post your queries, which will be addressed. If not, I'll be available on WhatsApp. We can. If not, maybe in after the next week classes on each day session, we can sit and discuss.
Yeah, I have a general question. So are you going to be teaching like the basics of Salesforce as part of the course? Like
Yeah,
for the
we will do.
scenarios that we're going to cover?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yesterday we are covering all those things. Day before also we are covering all those things. Today I want to switch into this demo workshop, so we will be covering for modules actually.
Okay. And yesterday's session, is that recorded somewhere?
Yeah, it is there. It is there. It is there. You are there in the WhatsApp group, right? If not,
no,
feel free to.
there.
Okay, maybe
Getting
someone from the
uploaded.
admin team, you know the contact means, reach out to them. They will share you the recordings of first demo and yesterday's class also.
Okay, so you've already had three sessions? No, two.
Yeah, it is day 3 actually. We are on day 3.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I already posted, so hopefully they'll reply back.
Sure,
All
sure.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Fine, guys. If nothing else, we can drop off from the session. Thank you.